being an entrepreneur sounds cool, but the reality of building a business is very, very difficult. Every level that you hit, there's a lot of things that suck that you just won't want to do. What you're capable of is on the other side. I don't feel like it.
And if you're committed to what it is that you're trying to do, nothing is going to stop you from getting there.
Welcome back to another episode of Real Business Owners with myself, Trevor Cowley. Today is another solo episode. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're ready to kick ass this week and attack any problem that knocks on your door. Today I want to talk about some things that I think that you could do to actually increase productivity, increase fulfillment, increase your overall level of happiness. For me, when I was younger, there was zero balance. You know, we hear, hey, be balanced, there's a grind phase, there's a build phase, there's a phase where you're going to have to be extremely focused and do whatever is necessary in order to see the level of success that you want, which brings up another point. Most people don't even know what level of success that they want. They don't even know what they're building. They don't even know what their targets are. They don't know how much money they want to make. They don't understand their goals. They just want to be successful. Understand what success looks like to you is very important when it comes to, exchanging a big piece of your life for this word success. If you don't know what success is, or if it's not defined, then that's a good starting point for you. But for me, unbalanced for a lot of years, 12 or 13 years, extremely focused. What comes with that is very heavy. So some of you guys might be year 2, year 5, year 8, year 10 into your business, and you feel this pressure. You feel uneasy. You wonder if it's going to pay off. I'm telling you right now that that's part of the process. The weight is the way. So if you're feeling the weight, the burden, the struggle, the pressure, that is the way. Individuals that live a life of ease and comfort don't feel that same level of burden. They feel the burden of being less than, which is a different burden. That's another weight that they'll have to carry, but it's not the same type of weight that a business owner has to carry. The fact is, most people quit because they think growth is supposed to feel good. They believe courage should feel like confidence. They believe winning should feel like a celebration. They think purpose should feel like clarity. But the truth is, courage feels like chaos. If it wasn't chaotic, if you weren't scared, if you didn't have doubts, then you wouldn't need courage. Winning feels like more of a relief than it does a celebration or a party. All the work, all the time, all the stress, all the effort, everything that you put into it, you finally got that result. It's more of a relief that everything that I did finally paid off. It was actually worth it. Most people are confusing the process. They feel as though that the emotions that they're currently feeling don't align with the end result that they want. Therefore, they think that they're doing something wrong. Purpose feels more like pressure and responsibility. If you're living a life that's purposeful, that means that you're carrying a weight that most people aren't. You're impacting people in a positive way. You're trying to impact your family in a positive way, yourself in a positive way. So if you feel as though that you're carrying a burden, pressure, a lot of responsibility, that right there is a noble purpose. Growth feels heavy on purpose. Loud thoughts, fear, that is courage. Moving forward regardless of those things. I did that for more than a decade of my life. Is this going to pay off? Staring at the wall late at night, feeling like I'm showing up to the office in wintertime anyways, when it's dark outside and I'm leaving when it's dark outside. Being dealt a difficult hand that day, wondering, what am I even doing? Should I have went to college? Should I go do something else? It was easier as a salesperson. I can make good money and still have balance in my life. It's very unbalanced for a long period of time. But the idea is to put your foot pedal to the metal for a period of time where you're making that exchange, so then it can become unbalanced to a certain extent in the other direction. And that's part of what I want to talk to you guys about today. I'm at a point where I've invested a lot of time, a lot of energy, dealt with a lot of headaches and struggles and overcome a lot of fear. This is just where I'm at. And I believe that it has the ability to serve everybody, because I don't think that I had to do exactly what I did in order to get where I am. I think I could have got where I am and still had a level of happiness. I was very dissatisfied. It was always more. There's positives in dissatisfaction. If somebody's dissatisfied with their weight, hopefully that gets them off their ass so that they go do something about it. If you're dissatisfied with your financial situation, hopefully that gets you off your ass so that you do something about it. Most people don't change until there's a high level of dissatisfaction. But I had dissatisfaction when I made 200 grand a year, 400 grand a year, 800 grand a year, 1.6 million a year. It finally got to the point where it was like, okay, money is awesome and it creates a certain level of security financially for me, but it didn't bring a high level of fulfillment personally or a level of happiness, so to speak. Yes, there was some peace that my family was going to be okay, and that was a big part of my motivation. I was okay to make the exchange and carry those responsibilities and those burdens and that pressure because that's what I wanted. I had the mindset, if I had to sacrifice my life in order to create ease and comfort for my family to where they had certainty in their life. Growing up, I didn't have a whole lot of certainty. The lights would get shut off. I'd watch my mom cry to the utility department, begging them to turn the lights back on. We would have to light candles at times. The cupboards didn't have food. So there was so much uncertainty growing up that my main goal was I wanted to create certainty. I wanted to create a home that was theirs. Yes, I've been able to be successful enough to pay for my home cash. And to me, I don't even consider it my home. That's my family's home. That's my children's home. That gives them a level of certainty to where they don't have to worry. They don't have to have concern if they have a place to stay or if the lights are going to get shut off or if there's going to be food. So I was okay saying, if my life is dedicated to creating this for my children, then I'm okay with that exchange. And so there was a high level of dissatisfaction until it got to that point, and then I thought it would all be gone. But there was still a high level of dissatisfaction for me. And the whole point of telling you that story is because I'm finally to the point where I'm just going to do whatever the fuck I want. I'm going to live in a manner that's designed by me. And for the most part, the last few years, I've been able to do that, running my 10 miles a day, doing the 2-a-days for the 3 years straight, now pursuing the world record for the most half marathons. I have the ability to come into the office at 11 or 12 after my 4-hour morning routine, so to speak. My exercise routine is roughly 3 to 4 hours every single morning because I still want to lift weights for 45 minutes or 60 minutes. And then But by the time I get there, by the time I shower, by the time I run for 2.5 hours, like it compounds and it adds up. And, I'm at the gym until 11 o'clock and get in the office at 11:30. Today, I didn't get in the office until 1 o'clock. But I've designed my life in a way where I have the ability to do that. What's the point of having a bunch of money and making that exchange if you feel as though that you have to continue to make that exchange? And the reason why I'm telling you this is because when I take time away from the office, I have more clarity. There was a quote that I read one time that was super powerful. If you spend all your time working, you're going to have no time to make money. And what that quote means to me is if you're busy working all the time, you have no time to strategize on how to make more money. You're too busy just making the money and covering the bills. And so the challenge that I have for you on today's podcast is to take time away from your business. Today, when I was running around the track and I started well. Everything felt great until about halfway through. And so I could have just kept pushing through, but I got off the track, got a drink, went to the bathroom, stretched a little bit, and then got back on the track to continue my run. What ended up happening is I ended up in better shape for doing that and taking that break rather than trying to power through. My suggestion, my recommendation from an individual that's built 8-figure businesses, multiple 7-figure businesses that is worth millions of dollars is to take time away from your business. You will have more clarity on the things that you need to do when you're in your business, when you're outside of your business. And when you're outside of your business, I would suggest to document those things, those thoughts, those ideas that come to you. Happiness, fulfillment, financially free. Those are the goals, right? That's what we're all trying to strive for. Can we be happy? Can we be fulfilled while we're in the process of creating financial security? I've created what's called a me day. I don't come into the office on Wednesdays. I run my half marathon. I'll go get stretched out, and then I go get a massage. Sometimes I've done an IV treatment, laid out by the pool, whatever it may be. That's a me day. I'm away from my business. I'm away from everything. And I have more clarity on those days than the days that I'm sitting behind a computer. Sometimes I have a million ideas, and if I don't write them down and I get behind the computer, they're all gone. Like, okay, what is it that I need to be working on? That's why it's important to create a list, a task list, to keep you on point, something that you can reference to say, okay, I've got time. What should I be working on right now? But if you're the individual in your business every single day, all day, you have no time to work on your business. You have no time for clarity. You have no time for new ideas, new thoughts, ways to streamline things. When you're away from your business, you should be thinking about, how can I make it better? While you're doing things that you also enjoy, while you're relaxing. Most of you guys are on the brink of burnout. I was on the brink of burnout halfway through my run. What did I do? I stepped aside. I took a break. I recalibrated so that I could step back into the arena and fight once again. I've earned the right to design my life however the fuck I want. I worked when other people weren't willing to. I saved my money when everybody else spent it and they laughed at me. I'm going to do what I want because the millions of dollars that I have says I can. And I'm challenging you to take a piece of that. I'm not saying to stop making the exchange that you're making in order to create financial freedom. I'm telling you, I believe that I could have had those me days or time away from my business and still had the results that I'm currently experiencing. If you took 1 day a week, that's 52 days a year. Over a 10-year period, that's 520 days. That's a year and a half. Instead of working the 10-year period, it would be like working 8.5 years. Let me ask you this. Working 8.5 years with more happiness and more fulfillment and more energy because you're taking care of yourself, do you think that 8.5 years would be more fruitful or just as fruitful as the 10 years? I think so, because I grinded my way to where I'm at. And I think I went through these burnout phases that I didn't necessarily have to go through, but I thought that was the only way. Nobody taught me different. We're all doing the best that we can based upon the information that we have, based upon the goals that we've set for ourselves. And I didn't have a podcast like this to say, hey man, step aside every so often. Enjoy life. Do something that you want to do while you're in the process of building. Because if you're enjoying yourself and you're happy and you're fulfilled, when you step back into your business, you're going to be more productive. You're going to have more energy. So if you're more productive, have more energy, you're more happy and you're more fulfilled, you can't tell me that you're going to blunt the results that you're going to experience in 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years. We need to think about the long-term horizon. We need to be thinking long-term. We need to understand what we're trying to accomplish, and then obviously create and design days, weeks, months, create a life around the goal that we're trying to get to. The reason why this is so important is on the days that you don't feel like doing it or the days that you feel burnout, you remember the long-term horizon. You understand that this is just a day and you have many days that are going to be good, many days that are going to be bad, many days that are going to be they're not good or bad. But if I didn't have a long-term horizon, financial freedom, the willingness to make that exchange for my family, that financial freedom, then some of those days might have taken me out. You're going to feel fear. Do it anyways. And when I say fear, I'm talking about making bold steps in the direction that you want to head in your business, cutting the checks that you don't want to cut. Maybe the fear of taking a day away from your business. You're going to feel fear. It's going to be scary. Why? Because it's unfamiliar to you. If you're going to feel overwhelmed and end up quitting and giving up, you're better off structuring or creating a life that gives you some happiness and fulfillment in between the burdens and the weight and the responsibilities that you have to carry. If you feel underqualified, keep learning, keep listening to podcasts, invest into masterminds, business groups. read books, hang around the right people. You need to become somebody that you're proud of. If you're working all the time and you're making that exchange, I was proud of the result that I was creating, but I wasn't necessarily proud of me. All my self-worth or confidence was, well, I make X amount. I make X amount. It wasn't based upon the fact that, I just truly loved who I was. There's hippies out there that they just love who they are. They're not really showing up for financial purposes, financial gain. They feel ultimate freedom just being who they are. And that's one thing that's great about them is they live and love freely, and that includes themselves. We have to take responsibility when it feels uncomfortable. We have to become stronger than the person that we are that wants to quit. The reason that you're doing this has to be stronger than the reasons that you have to quit. My family was the reason. The way I grew up was the reason. That's why I didn't quit. But it's got to the point where I have to reinvent myself and create more happiness, more fulfillment for me. And you guys have probably seen the evolution of that over the last couple years, where I started just kind of doing whatever the fuck I want. Running the 10 miles, doing the 2 a day. Like, that's what gives me a lot of self-worth, is I know I'm waking up and I'm doing more than 99.9% of people on the planet. I basically exercise as though it's a part-time job. I run on average 18 plus hours a week, plus I lift weights. But I'm trying to be great in multiple facets of my life. I don't want to just be great financially. There's a lot of fucking losers that are successful financially, that have made a lot of money, whether it's through honest ways or dishonest ways. But at the end of the day, can they look at themselves in the mirror and be proud of who they are? Can they take their shirt off and feel confident in who they are? Or are they the fat kid by the pool that wants to wear their t-shirt? I don't want to be that guy. I grew up always wanting to be an athlete. That was a big dream of mine. And so when I've got to the point of becoming financially free, I'm like, I want to live a life of an athlete. I want to train like an athlete. I want to have discipline like an athlete. I want to have a body of an athlete. And what displays that more so than a world record? That's an athletic accomplishment. I have no business trying to become a world record holder, especially in running, not in this body. I'm 5'7". I have Fred Flintstone legs. I don't have long strides. I don't go fast. I'm not the fastest runner. I can't run the farthest. But one thing that I have the ability to control is whether I get up and get out of bed or not, whether I show up, whether I lace my fucking shoes and just hit the send button. I can control my consistency. I can control my schedule. Don't let your business get the best of you. Don't let your business determine what your life looks like. Yes, when you're there, make the sacrifices needed. Make the exchange that's required. But at the end of the day, you still have the reins. You still are behind the steering wheel. Take time away, do some things for you in order to create that level of happiness and fulfillment and self-worth while you're building and carrying those burdens. The weight is the way, but every so often we're going to have to take the weight off so that when we put it back on, we're even stronger. We take that breather, so to speak, just like I did during the run. We're human beings. We do need time away from the things that are burdensome. I take fucking naps. I get massages. I do I do things that serve me in a manner that allow me to continue to show up in the manner that I do. So if you want to play the long game and you're looking at the horizon and you want financial freedom and you feel like that these burdens and these responsibilities and this purpose that you're trying to carry starts getting heavy, go to the lake, go to the pool, go do something for you that day. I promise your business won't burn down. And if anything, you're going to have more clarity and find ways that will allow you to show up in that manner more often so that you're rejuvenated and refocused when you show back up the next day. I want you guys to win, and I want you to win big, but not just financially. I want you to win at life while you're winning big financially. There's the duality of life. There's the grind, and then there's you that's doing the grinding. I want you to be able to show up during the grind in the best possible way so that you're getting the most yardage every single day that you show up. I think one of the best ways to do that, what I should have done, if I had somebody that was a coach or a mentor in the first 10 years, it took 10 years before I signed up for groups or masterminds. And even Ed Milet at one point said, one of my biggest regrets is I didn't take more time away from my business. He said, I probably would still be worth the exact same amount of money and would have enjoyed it a little bit more rather than always showing up in a manner that was more hustle mode, grind mode. I know that that's the culture that we're in, and you do have to hustle. You do have to grind. If you want to accomplish anything big, you're going to have to do those things. But even the highest performing athletes take care of themselves. They do things to make sure that they're showing up in a manner when they're on the field that it's productive. It's kind of the maintenance mode type analogy. You've got to maintain the car so that it can keep on running. I'm telling you to park your car every so often and to take care of you because you do carry a lot of weight, a lot of burdens, a lot of pressure, a lot of responsibility. That's the life that we chose. But you can also choose to do it in a manner that's just a little bit different than what the hustle culture tells you to do. I grind 24/7. I did it. Yeah, wake up earlier than other people. Stay up a little bit later than other people. Sure, do those things. But find some days each month where you could take care of you. Hopefully you find this podcast helpful and realize that I'm giving you permission to take care of you because you take care of so many other people. Just don't forget yourself. Hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Make sure you're rating, reviewing, and showing love to the podcast as much as you possibly can. And if you're ready to level up, go to joinrbo.com. Much love to you guys. Kick ass this week.